This is breaking news.
Using theatre to fight the war of liberation. Looking back at his plunge into theatre during apartheid, actor and playwright John Kani sees the stage as a form of resistance, even a weapon. That's why I am an artist. That's why I am a writer, the 82-year-old legend says. I am a freedom fighter. I just didn't take the AK-47. I took the pen. I took my stories. And I was conscious of the fact that I am fighting the war of liberation. Liberation, from prejudice, insularity, historical misdeeds, and more, is a theme of his play Kunene and the King, making its US premiere at Shakespeare Theatre Company. Starring Kani alongside local luminary Edward Gero, and set a quarter century after the end of apartheid, the drama tells of the testy relationship and deep connection between a skilled nurse, Kani, and a cantankerous, terminally ill classical actor, Gero. Amid disagreements fueled by their disparate experiences as black and white South Africans, the two men bond over their shared love of Shakespeare. Brimming with insights about acting and the bard's cross-cultural appeal, Kunene and the King shows Kani the dramatist wrestling with history and coming to terms with what theatre can and cannot do to heal the world. I get angry sometimes. I get angry with what's going on in my own country. I get angry with what's going on the continent and internationally, Kani says in an interview in an STC office. While writing the play, which reflects on reconciliation without waxing mawkishly optimistic, he has been able to process that anger and better understand what his art can offer. Maybe there's something I could do that might contribute to some peaceful coexistence, he says. Perhaps most famous now for playing T'Chaka in the movies Captain America, Civil War, and Black Panther, Kani has been a theatrical force for over half a century. Born in South Africa's Eastern Cape, he gravitated to acting, joining forces in the 1960s with playwright Athol Fugard. Kani experienced apartheid's brutality over the years. His brother was shot and killed by police during an episode of civil unrest. Kani himself was periodically detained, and he describes an assassination attempt in which he was stabbed 11 times. I have been detained because they called us terrorists, he says. We were just cultural activists, storytellers of our lives. With Fugard and Winston Chona, Kani devised two seminal one-acts, Sizzly Bansi is Dead, 1972, about South Africa's past laws, which controlled the movement of black people, and The Island, 1973, about prison cellmates staging Antigone. Kani and Shona performed the two-handers in South Africa and abroad, including in a Broadway run of the two plays in repertory that won the actors a shared 1975 Tony Award. Back home, Kani continued working with Fugard and tackled other projects. When Kani headlined alongside a white actress in a 1987 Othello, the production sparked controversy. He remembers being detained and interrogated with such specificity about an onstage kiss that he marveled to himself, "My God." The policeman read the play. Kani says that when apartheid ended, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, and the country held its first fully democratic election in 1994. The changes initially sent South Africa's creative industry into a spin. Artists had to shift out of resistance mode and ask, what are the issues that we have been neglecting by only focusing on protest? He went on to write the plays Nothing But the Truth, 2002, and Missing, 2014, which explored apartheid's aftermath, such as the tensions between South Africans who had chosen exile and those who stayed home. For him, those plays make up a reckoning-themed trilogy with Kunene and the King. South Africa has struggled in recent decades with challenges including corruption and continued inequity. But as the 25th anniversary of the 1994 election neared, a black friend of his was upbeat about how far the country had come. By contrast, a white friend gave me a list of failures, Kani remembers. Black people have messed up this country. He wanted those two viewpoints to collide in a play. For complexity, he infused both his characters with the love of Shakespeare that has burned in him ever since he recited Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. In the 1950s, for the Bantu education inspector who would arrive regularly to assess the school as part of the country's separate and inferior education system for black people. Over the years, in addition to Othello, Kani has played Caliban in The Tempest and General Comenius in a Coriolanus film. King Lear is on his bucket list.